Hi, my name is Eric Bear. I'm a technology specialist here with Landmark Implement. One of the common complaints that customers call about during planting season is having wide and narrow guest rows. So we wanted to put together a video to kind of troubleshoot and how to correct for those guest row issues. The important thing is to go out and we need to measure our guest rows when we first start, because after plant season, there's nothing that we can really do about it. So before we get into this, let's talk about some of the common causes for guest row issues. So there's a lot that has to happen between the time we get signal from our receiver to when the seed is planted. So there's a lot of things in between there that can go wrong. So we have display set up. So if our display isn't set up right, so our widths and certainly our offsets aren't correct, we didn't go out and we didn't measure, that can cause our guest rows to be off. We think about some of the physical parts of the planter, so anything from bearings that are out, bushings that are out, bent row units, openers, anything that would cause drag on one side versus the other, tire pressure, sway blocks. If your sway blocks have a gap or play in them, I can almost guarantee that your guest rows would be off. So properly ballast tractor, the actual steering components of the tractor, so linkages, if the linkages are wore, if the tractor itself doesn't drive straight, we're obviously going to have guest row issues. We think about our receiver, so how long did the receiver warm up? So it can take up to a half hour sometimes for the satellites to be completely found. So warm up time of the day, certainly a TCM calibration is very important, and doing the TCM calibration right. We'll go through an example of how to do a correct TCM calibration. So there's a lot that can go wrong, I guess, that would cause guest row issues. But so let's suppose we're ready to go this spring. We've got our planter hooked up. We go out to the field to get our planter set. First thing we need to do is clear out any offsets that we have in our display from last year. So just because you went out last year and set your guest rows, for whatever reason, I've seen those be off from year to year. So clear out your offsets if you have them from last year, and we need to do a TCM calibration. So normally, and it even has you do it this way in the display. So to do a TCM calibration, normally you'd start in a position, mark your back axles, hit calibrate, pull forward, turn around, and line up back on the same line and hit calibrate again. So that's the way it's always been done. There's a better way to do it that is certainly more accurate. So we call this the Cloverleaf Method. So what we'd do, we would start when we would mark our back axles just like we did before and hit calibrate. But instead of just going forward, turning back around and facing the other direction, we're going to start and we're going to make one big loop going left, one big loop going right, and one big loop and head back in the 180 degrees. So the more degrees and more angles that your receiver sees when you do this calibration, the better it does. So if somebody calls and has a guest row complaint, I have them go and recalibrate the TCM first thing, and I might have them calibrate it again. The other important thing to note when you're doing a TCM calibration is if you calibrate your TCM on a slope like this, the tractor thinks it's driving around like this. So it's important to be on flat ground when you do it. So we've got our planter set. We've got all of our physical components. Our software's been updated. Everything's ready to go. We've done our TCM calibration, and we need to go out and we need to check our guest rows. So what we're gonna do, and this is kind of a rough diagram of what you're gonna do. We put our planter in the ground. and we're going to make 3 passes. Okay, so we make our first pass. So we've got two Gastros. Okay, so let's just say for this example, we've got a 34-inch Gastro and a 26-inch Gastro. So we're wide one way and narrow the other. Okay, so to fix this, we would go into our display and we would put in an offset on our receiver. So to correct for a wide narrow Gastro, we're going to go into our display, under our equipment, under our machine, because we don't want to put an offset under our implement, we want to put an offset under our machine. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to tell the display that the receiver is right or left of where it actually is. So we're just cheating the receiver over, so wherever the receiver moves, the tractor is going to move. So if we tell the display that the receiver is 2 inches to the right, it's going to think it's 2 inches to the right. So so in this example, we've got a wide narrow Gastro of 4 inches. So if we look at our picture here, we're going this way, we turn, and then we go back that same direction. So if you can imagine, say we're going north and we turn south, we've got a wide Gastro on the left. So we basically need to move the planter to the left in order to correct that Gastro. Okay, so what we would do, so we've got 4-inch Gastro, and we need to move it to the left. So I always think, where does the planter need to move to correct it? So you would put in, and you'd take the number, the distance that you're off. So we're 4 inches, we would divide that number by 2, and we would put an offset in the direction that the planter needs to go. So in this example, it needs to move to the left, and we are 4 inches wide and narrow. So we would put in a 2-inch offset to the left. So we would go to our display, under our machine, go to our change offsets, and this letter A, so this is our lateral offset. So that's just saying, where is the receiver in relation to the center line? So we're going to cheat the receiver over to the left. So right now you can see that the receiver is on the right hand side of the center line. So we need to move it to the left. So we're going to push this button right here, and that moves it to the left. And then we need a 2-inch offset to the left. So after we've made the change in our display, we need to verify that that is going to fix our problem. So if we turn back around, we come back here and we make our next pass, if we measure this distance right here, it's going to be off. Okay, so after we make a change in our display, we've got to make 3 more passes and go and remeasure our Gastros. So that's how we would correct for a Gastro. If you go out this spring and you're having trouble with it, give your local Landmark dealership a call, and we'd love to come out and help you.